Hello, everyone, once again. How's it going? Hope you are doing well. I guess in today's video, we are going to predict some of the winners for UFC 328. I'm not going to go through the whole card, I'm just going to go through the main card just to make the video shorter because I feel like the last video was a bit too long for it to be my first video. It was like 27 minutes. So I want to make this one shorter. So we're going to go through the main card for UFC 328. I'm gonna try to keep the predictions short and brief and simple, but maybe we can start to analyze a little bit further. But to kick things off in the main card opener, we have King Green or Bobby Green versus Jeremy Stevens. I don't know if Jeremy Stevens was retired before this fight and he came out of retirement. I think he was in BKFC. Yeah, I think he just took like a massive break from MMA and just went to BKFC and did his thing. I believe he also got stopped by Mike Perry, but now he's back in here. Um, I think this fight's gonna be just Bobby Green beating him. I think it's just that Bobby Green is active, winning and losing fights. I believe he's coming off 2 wins, if I'm not mistaken. He's coming off a win against Lance Gibson Jr., who just stopped Chase Hooper, and he's also coming off a win against Daniel Zellhuber. I think he finished him as well. Um, yeah, I feel like you just have to be like someone that's just actively fighting and you're good and you're in the rankings to beat someone like Bobby Green. But for someone like Jeremy Stevens, who's not even ranked anymore and he's out of his prime completely, um, he's 28 and 20, which is not much different than 34 and 17 for Bobby Green. But I do think that Bobby Green is going to get him. I think he's going to capitalize on his inactivity and the rust. And I believe also Jeremy Stevens is like coming off so many losses. Like he has a total of 20, but like the losing streak that he's at right now. Let me just check real quick. Uh, he's coming off 2 losses. His last loss was in 2025 May, and the one before that was in PFL. I didn't even know he went to PFL. That was in 2022. So he's really inactive. He did not have a single fight in 2023, a single fight in 2024. He only had one fight in 2025, and so far no fight in 2026. God damn, if you just take a look at his record, it's so like just riddled with losses. Like his last win was against Miles Price back in June 17th, 2022. But then he's been losing. Like he lost beginning from 2018 to Jose Aldo, then to Zabit, then a no contest to Yair, then rematches Yair and loses. Calvin Cater, Gamrot, Clay Collard, beats Miles Price, loses to Nathan Schult, and then loses to Mason Jones. He's just coming off so many losses and he's so inactive. Versus when you compare it to Bobby Green, who's coming off some good wins, has the momentum. He's not fighting guys in the rankings because if he does, I think he loses to pretty much all of them. But I think this fight is tailor made for Bobby Green. The inactivity factor for Jeremy Stevens not going to be good. He did either get cut or he left the UFC, went to PFL, came back, lost to Mason Jones. I think he's going to probably get finished by Bobby Green, if I'm being honest. So that's that. Moving up the card, we have Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley. Brady's coming off a loss to Michael Morales. Although Buckley does pack a punch, I think he's one of those like, as Lucas Tracy would say, big meaty hooks. He just spams all of them. He spams all those big meaty hooks. I think he does have the power, but I don't know if he has the same power as Michael Morales. I don't think he does. I don't think he does. He has clipped Colby Covington so many times cleanly, but he did not drop. I think he dropped him once in that fight, but he did not knock him out right then and there. It was a doctor stoppage, but he didn't like just destroy him on the feet or anything like that. So, um, I do think that Sean Brady is going to win this fight using his wrestling and using his grappling and submission skills. I feel like based off of Buckley's last fight and how he performed against Kamaru Usman, and that's a guy that's no longer in his prime, completely washed. Not completely washed, but he's no longer in his prime, right? And he got controlled on the ground, and Kamaru had no issues wrestling him and stuff like that. I think Brady will do the same thing. Now, I do worry that if Brady gets a little too overzealous on the feet, like he did against Michael Morales, and not shoot immediately, and tries to get a little too comfortable on the feet, Buckley could chin him, right? Like he chinned Wonderboy, and Brady is just like, durability wise, he's just not there, right? Like he got stopped by Bilal Muhammad of all people, and that he gets stopped by Michael Morales, which there's no shame in stopping and getting stopped by Michael Morales because that's a big welterweight. That dude could probably make middleweight at this point, even light heavyweight. But I think Brady probably beats him. I'm gonna say decision. I don't know if Buckley. I did see a video of Buckley saying that like he has not prepared for the wrestling. I think it's rage bait. I don't think that's the case. I think it's to like get under the his opponent's head, like, oh, I've not worked on my wrestling at all. If he actually did not, he's getting destroyed. If he genuinely did not work on his wrestling defense, grappling defense, submission defense, I think he's going to get finished like within 2 rounds, 3 rounds. Because there's no way you don't prepare for someone like Brady on the ground. Like at least Michael Morales had the size advantage, the reach advantage to be able to also stuff the takedowns from Brady, even though Brady did not have a good game plan in that fight, and his entries, the takedown entries, were not that great. And then Buckley is just not Michael Morales. He's not as big. He's not as tall. He's not as powerful. So they're both the same height, as you could see. Buckley does have a reach advantage, but I just don't think that he will pull on Michael Morales on Brady. If he does, that will be great, but I just don't think he knocks him out. I think Brady will learn from his mistakes in the previous fight, and I think he'll be a bit smarter, a bit more strategically sound. I think he'll eventually get the control time and just win based off of that. So I'm going to go Brady by decision. Then we have Alexander Volkov versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. For this fight, let's see. Volkov is coming off a win against Jailton Almeida, right? And before that, it was Cyril Gane, which was a loss, but I don't agree about that decision. It should have been a win for Volkov. We all agree with that. Waldo's coming off some good wins. He's just coming off a knockout loss, or a knockout win, sorry, against Derek Lewis. But I feel like Volkov is always going to be in that like top 3, top 4 position. I don't think anybody dethrones him. Like I think the only person that's better than Volkov is Tom Aspinall. I don't think Gane is better than him because I think he lost to him. I think Tom is the only guy that could convincingly beat Volkov because he did. But I don't think Waldo beats him. I think Waldo is going to be like the gatekeeper around that top 5, top 6, top 7, range. I don't think, it will be easy for anybody to just get past him, right? I know Sergey Pavlovich beat him, but he didn't even stop him, right? Waldo has one of the better boxing skills in the division. He's one of the best boxers in the division. But obviously, if we're talking, in a vacuum, his boxing skills aren't that great. But for heavyweight standards, it's good. It's good enough. I do think Volkov will win this one. I believe it's a 3-rounder. So, yeah, I think he's going to win a decision, 3 rounds. I don't see Cortez, like outstriking him or anything like that. If Cyril Gane was not able to convincingly outstrike him to a convincing win, I don't think Waldo's going to do it. So I think Volkov using his reach, 6'7" versus 6'4", 80-inch versus 78-inch. Yeah, I think Volkov has this one in the back. I'm going to go Volkov by unanimous decision. So that's that. Then we're going to go to the co-main event, Joshua Van versus Tetsuro Taira. A lot of people are picking Joshua Van. I am going to lean towards Tetsuro Taira. I don't know if he finishes him or not, but I'm going to just be on the safer side and say decision win for Tetsuro. And the reason why is that I feel as though that across both of their fights, Tetsuro has shown more versatility and more well-roundedness than Joshua Van. Like, Joshua Van really has only won one fight against a ranked opponent, and that was to Brandon Royval. I'm not going to count the Pantoja win because he did not legitimately win that fight and get the belt, right? Pantoja injured himself. Should have been, like, I don't even know. I think that should have been a no contest or something. Like, I don't know how someone could win the belt off of that kind of performance where you just do nothing, your opponent gets injured in the first round, you win the belt. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. So that's not really a real win for Joshua Van. And if we're going to compare both of their careers, Joshua Van really has had one ranked win, and that's to Brandon Royval. And it was on short notice as well. Now, as impressive as it was, I thought he was going to lose that fight, but he, proved me wrong. If you're looking back at it now, I know in hindsight, when we talk about short notice fights, we mainly say that the person who's stepping in as the late replacement is at a disadvantage. And I agree with that. He's at a disadvantage, but the person who's originally scheduled for the fight also is at a disadvantage because he has to quickly improvise. He's been preparing for months on end for a specific fight or stylistically preparing a specific game plan, a specific strategy, all for that to go out the window because the original opponent in Manil Cap pulled out, and then replacing him is Joshua Van. Now I know it's not like they're day and night when it comes to, stylistically speaking. They're not completely different, right? They're both strikers around the same stature and size, but they do strike differently, right? So Brandon Royval had to quickly improvise on like a week notice for a guy like Joshua Van, right? And so Joshua Van never really had like a proper full camp win against a ranked opponent. I think maybe Bruno Silva was one, if I'm not mistaken, who was like another guy that he beat on the same month that he beat Brandon Royval. But I feel as though that Tatsuro Taira's win over Brandon Moreno was better than that. I think it was better than Joshua Van's win over Royval. He finished him. Even if you think that stoppage was premature, it was early, he did stop Brandon Moreno. He looked really good, controlled him on the ground. As soon as he has as soon as he gets your back or gets a hold of your back, you just can't do anything about it, right? Like I think he's probably top 2, top 3 best grapplers in the division right now, right behind Pantoja. I just think he's a bit more well-rounded than Joshua Van. I know Joshua can also grapple. That's something that's being underrated from, Joshua Van's game. People think he's just like a boxer and that's it, like some Max Holloway-esque fighter, no more, no less. Like he could grapple, but Tatsuro is just on another level, I feel like. I feel like Joshua Van might get exposed in this fight, right? And yeah, I'm picking Tatsuro Taira by decision. I just think he has more tools in his arsenal than Joshua Van. I feel like Joshua could still clip him on the feet. On the feet, he's better than Tatsuro, I think, but I just don't see him like knocking out Tatsuro Taira or anything like that. Like he couldn't. The last person he knocked out was Bruno Silva, and let's be real, Tatsuro is not on the level of Bruno Silva. He's much better than that, right? So, yeah, I am gonna go with Tatsuro Taira by, let's say, unanimous decision. Then we go to the main event, Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland. Yeah, I guess Chimaev submission probably. I mean, I don't want to be too basic with my explanations or predictions, but Strickland definitely has a good chance in beating Chimaev, in my opinion. I know that's not what people think, but considering they both train with each other, he must know some things that we don't know about Chimaev, right? And at the same time, I know this is easier said than done, but if Strickland can stuff the takedowns and keep it on the feet, I think he's going to light up Chimaev on the feet. I think he's going to light up Chimaev on the feet and possibly even finish him on the feet. Chimaev is not bad on the feet, but we saw what Dricus did to him in the few short exchanges that they had on the feet. Dricus was getting the better of him. He was clipping him. He was tumbling him backwards with straight shots down the pipe. Chimaev is not bad, but it's just that he relies on wrestling too much. And I mean, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with that because it's too dominant, right? If you have a weapon that works in your favor and it always works, you're going to keep relying on it. But if Strickland somehow finds a way to just stuff the majority of his takedowns or at least survive on the ground and be able to stand up, which we have seen from him in the past, whenever he gets taken down, he would get right back up. If he does that to Chimaev, I think there's a good chance he probably stops him on the feet. Like Chimaev, let's not forget, at welterweight, he went to a war with Gilbert Burns on the feet. At middleweight, in his, I think, middleweight debut, or not debut, but when he fought Kamaru Usman on short notice, he went to war with him on the feet. Obviously, he won the fight. That was, very close, but he went to war with him on the feet. Whitaker did not do anything in that fight, got quickly finished. Dricus, as I said, every time they would have the exchanges on the feet for like a couple of seconds to like a minute, Dricus would get the better of him, right? And stylistically speaking, I feel like Strickland, if he was in that position and he's standing up with Chimaev, I think he would clip him more often. Dricus has this weird style of fighting that we all are aware of. He's very unorthodox. He's very awkward, right? He misses a lot of shots. Meanwhile, Strickland is simple yet effective, He has the Philly shell or this, traditional. It's not even traditional, but it's like the Philly shell style of boxing. Walks you down, jabs, teeps. Like he's accurate with his punches. He just finished Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. He still has it in the bag. So we'll see, man. This fight is interesting. A lot of people think that it's going to be like an easy win for Chimaev. Despite what I have said about Strickland and his odds and chances of winning this fight, I do think that Chimaev is probably going to be a bit too strong because, as I just said, if Strickland wants to win this fight, he has to basically, you know, not panic if he gets taken down, get right back to his feet, which is easier said than done, as I said, and just focus on stuffing the takedowns and obviously, throwing straight punches down the pipe, overwhelm Chimaev. I think on the feet he would light him up, but that's too much of a task. I think Chimaev, when he grabs a hold of him, takes him down, he will probably control him so much and possibly submit him right then and there, right? But we'll see what happens. I do think Chimaev wins maybe like a round three submission after like securing a lot of control time, wearing out Strickland, getting him tired, and then eventually he just can't take it anymore, and then eventually Chimaev just submits him in the third round. That's what I personally think. So Bobby Green decision, actually Bobby Green stoppage over Jeremy Stevens, Brady decision, Volkov decision, Tetsuro Taira decision, maybe even a submission, bro, but I'm not even sure. I don't want to, underestimate Van's grappling ability, but I do think that Tetsuro Taira is just too good. And Van lacks the experience at the top. Like Tetsuro has fought Moreno, he fought Royval, he fought those guys. Joshua Van only fought Royval on short notice. So it wasn't like the best version of Royval. I'm not making any excuses. If anything, Joshua Van was a massive underdog going into that fight because, on paper he should have lost that fight, or he should have lost that fight on paper because he was the one stepping in on short notice. But he obviously defied the odds and beat him. But full camp Tetsuro Taira, full camp Joshua Van. I have Tetsuro Taira by decision. And then as for the main event, I think this fight could maybe somehow lean towards Strickland's way, but I am going to go to Chimaev. I'm going to say Chimaev submits him in round 3 after just, controlling him on the ground for the first 2 rounds. But then again, I think this fight could play out differently than the Dricus fight. Some people think it will not turn out differently. It will be the same Chimaev laying on top of him for the, whole fight. I don't know about that because when he fought Dricus, that was like his biggest opportunity, right? That was like his first ever title shot. About time, long overdue. So he had to fight that way. It's a similar situation to like when Islam fought JDM the way he fought him, laying on top of him for the most part. I know he struck with him, or he was striking with him for a couple of minutes, low kicks, stuff like that. But for the most part, he relied on the control time. But I feel like he did it because that was the biggest opportunity of his career. Second belt, second division, stuff like that. JDM was supposed to be his toughest test on paper. The same thing with Dricus du Plessis. He was, coming off like a long win streak, coming off wins against people like Izzy, Whitaker, Strickland himself twice. So Chimaev had, and also because he's unorthodox and awkward to fight. So Chimaev had to be careful and just rely on the control time. But I think going into this fight, I feel like Chimaev will be a bit more comfortable, a bit more confident in himself. He may strike with Strickland a little bit and throw him off and keep him, worried about the takedown threat, similar to how Islam fought Dustin Poirier when he was just striking him, and he did outstrike him in that fight. And the reason why I think he did it is because Poirier was just too nervous and too worried about the takedown threat. He was too focused on that in the process of doing so, he was just getting outstruck. Not saying that Chimaev will outstrike him, but I'm saying that Chimaev will be a bit more confident now that he's champ, and the fact that Strickland is not someone new to him. He's a fresh matchup, but he has sparred with him before, so he has an idea of what Strickland is like. So I think Chimaev will win, possibly round 3 submission. And I guess if we look at the prelims, I believe Jan Blachowicz pulled out of this fight. He's injured. Atiba Gautier, Ozzy Diaz, I think Atiba knocks him out. I think Rebecki wins this fight, but I'm worried because he's been in too many wars, so you never know. I'm going to go with Rebecki. I'm going to go with Joel Alvarez, more experienced. Yaroslav, I believe Yaroslav was a champ in Bellator, and he just came to the UFC and submitted Neil Magny. He could be a problem, of course, but I think Joel Alvarez beats him. And then I got Kopilov, Bison Gore, and possibly Clayton Carpenter. So that's the predictions. I guess it's just the main card and some of the prelims. So yeah, that's it. See ya.